restart again so that I can get the extra. So the first hour was kind of and now I have this extra little piece.
Now we're building up.
So
we're crescendo.
Well, here's what I want. Here's what I want to talk to you about about this what do you guys think about the modification of this DNA? This RNA.
Wait, you
thing.
didn't let me tell the Kyle Carter finish.
Let's do the top part.
So
don't forget my RNA question.
I won't, because it's important. It's reverse transcriptase.
That's what scares me.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's
Kyle Carter.
Legitimate question.
Kyle Carter. Let's go back to Kyle Carter. If I'm a pain in the butt, I'm sorry. I had my own TV show.
You guys,
everything.
You guys saved my life.
Yeah. Okay.
So I tell you, he walks away. I go, I love you. And he's the first time he said, I love you.
I'm ready to come back every
Thursday
Thursday morning.
Without you guys, I wouldn't be alive, and I know that.
We're glad you came. We really are.
And you know my opinion about that, right?
Yeah, you said it was in bigger hands.
Exactly. Thank you. Go on.
So I keep going back to Kyle Carter, who's looking at me, talking to me. He says, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. 6'5", 45 years old. 300 pounds. And
Morbidly obese.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
60% of his lungs were full of fluid.
Yeah.
How much were mine?
COVID.
Yours were 30%.
I had a 30%?
Yeah.
I had the ground glass, I keep saying.
He does. Yeah, that's COVID pneumonia, but that's really
his was over where he no longer had any reserves.
Right. He was headed towards a ventilator, and when I did that little demo, he couldn't get a sentence out without coughing. Couldn't do it. So I called up, I said, you've got to go to the hospital because I don't know what else to do, and there is very little to do out there for you, I don't know what's going to happen. I think you're going to be on a ventilator in 12 hours. So we went out there, and I said, Kyle, if it was me, I would take this pill, ivermectin. I've read about it. I've watched it. I've never used it, but all of my research, it has the only promise for you. Now, people are taking 6 milligrams for lice or scabies or pinworms or, some of the lower doses around the world were being tried. I got to give this guy 56 milligrams of ivermectin. 56. This is
how many pills is that?
That was 18.
Oh, okay.
18 pills, okay?
I got my big story on the 14 pill thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I said, Kyle, go out there. I'm calling the chief of staff. I'm saying, look, you're going in. I want him to, this is what I want. I told the chief of staff, I told the hospitalist, and I said, his manager's bringing the pills over. Please give them this way, et cetera, et cetera. So his manager brings the pills over. He's in the hospital at 2 o'clock, and it sits on his bedside stand, and he says, people are arguing out there. What are we doing? Are we crazy? Can we give this? Does anybody know anything about it? And I've already spoken to chief of staff. I've spoken to the admitting doctor, and it's sitting there for hours. He can't breathe. I said, Kyle, I want you to take 9 pills now. I'll call you in an hour and a half. He takes the pills. I call him in an hour and a half. How do you feel? I got a little bit of heartburn. I said, that's a side effect from the pills, but it also could be COVID. COVID presented after that with a lot of GI complaints. I said, okay, eat dinner and take 8 pills. So now I got 17 pills in him. I call him up at 10:30 at night to follow up on him. And I said, Kyle, how you doing? Now I'm going to be Kyle. I feel 90% better. I feel really good. My fever's gone. He was spiking to 102.7. I'm talking 8 hours later. Now, was this a divine intervention? No. This was the pills. That's all he got, and his dinner. So how can anybody possibly refute what you see? This was like not seeing the Red Sea parting. This was medical treatment in action, and I've repeated that around the world. It's being repeated over and over again. People within hours can be taken away literally from oxygen, from the potential of needing a ventilator, and this is not being discussed in the United States of America.
It's bizarre.
And he never looked back. He's fantastic, great health, and no long haulers. And I don't know if you've seen it. I haven't seen anybody we've treated acutely with ivermectin that has long hauler syndrome.
I have. I've had about a total of 10 patients, including Dr. Lou.
That went on?
Yeah.
And mine was very, I want to just
Yours
qualify.
is subtle,
mine was very subtle. It was very mild, but it was like something, I'm very in tune because I had bronchitis years ago. Right. So I'm very, very in tune with my body, and I can feel, something happening instantly. If I've got something, so I use Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Yeah. Well, a
Cold.
lot of people
Takes care of it.
know their bodies just as well. And when they're sitting at a computer and they don't know why they're sitting there, or they can't type a sentence out on the computer, that's brain fog.
So Bruce brought me into that case, and it was definitely one of the more dramatic cases. I'm going to share one case of failure, and I'm going to explain why it failed. There was another patient of mine who you've met, actually, and he developed pneumonia bilaterally, and he was getting sick. And I took the ivermectin, told him to take the Z-Pack and the vitamins and everything like that. He went home. He got worse. He had his own pulse ox machine. Dropped down to 88%. He lives in Homestead. And I told him, go to the hospital, and when he went, his fiance shared with me, oh, well, he didn't take anything else. All he took was the ivermectin. He didn't take the Z. And as soon as they gave him Zithromax IV, they gave him a shot of vitamin D, they gave him vitamin C, they gave him everything there because that's now part of the treatment modality we have in hospital settings as well.
So the fact that he had the ivermectin, you added that extra stuff, it kind of...
3 days later, his x-ray cleared and he went home.
So the vitamin D, all of us are vitamin D depleted, pretty much. Everybody, if we check, okay? But people who get sick get vitamin D depleted, they get magnesium depleted, they get zinc depleted because they're sick, they're not eating well, they're not taking in, and we alter the ability of our immune system to fight disease. Now, in contrast, here's Kyle. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Right.
I just said, Kyle, the dose would be 56 milligrams.
Right.
I didn't give him anything else. Now,
well, we didn't know.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, at that time, I just said, "Hey, you've got no recourse to anything here but take the ivermectin." And by that night, this man was talking without coughing, no fevers, and was discharged the next morning. Never needed oxygen.
And a week later, his CT. Remember his CT?
Oh,
he
cleared 90% within 5 days. His CT had cleared 90% in 5 days. But we can't talk about this. I can't as a doctor. Tom is a doctor. He can't. We're going to get in trouble. Because...
Well, I mean, I might get canceled, too. You never know.
No, you're not. We're going to be okay because now the grassroots effort is taking hold. They've got to...
Well, NIH has recognized ivermectin. WHO has recognized ivermectin. They just don't want to promote it. They don't want to talk about it.
But not the CDC and not the FDA.
Correct.
So after that congressional testimony, which was now taken completely off the airwaves, completely suppressed congressional testimony, it shows you who's in control of the media and the words that get out there. That group is presenting they're using Tess Lawry, they're using Dr. Caraballo from Argentina. Tess Lawry is an incredible COVID fighter in Great Britain. They've got Merrick, they've got Pierre Corey, and they're going to be doing a media webinar just to the media.
When are they doing this?
I think it might be tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Is Dr. Jory not too?
Dr. who?
Jory, isn't that the one who was...
Where does someone find that?
It's actually just for media at this point.
The pulmonologist, the one that got silenced. What's his name?
Oh, Ratcher. Dr. Ratcher.
The one from Colorado?
Oh, no. I'm talking about the guys from Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, I'm talking about the guy out of Colorado. The one that was silenced on C-SPAN.
Oh, so many of them have been. I'm
That's
sorry.
the one he was talking about.
So I, again, am urging people, and I do want to get to what we're doing and how we're helping. What I think is going to be the ivermectin prophylaxis protocol.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm done with the Kyle Carter story. He's done really well, but he's now on prophylactic ivermectin every 2 weeks, which I'll get to. But I just want to go back to, and I cannot find the name of this book. It was fabulous. It was written about a German immigrant who came over, and in the early 1800s. And he worked enough to buy the local newspaper in his small town. From there, he went ahead and bought 3 more newspapers in the Midwest, and then ultimately bought the Chicago Tribune. So in the 1850s, he was the guy that got Abraham Lincoln elected. Why? Because that was the only media that was being heard.
Yeah. We've seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, obviously.
Yeah, so you're looking here.
You own the paper.
What a perfect example. He was elected an unknown backwoods lawyer against Stephen Douglas because the media, which was controlled by the Chicago Tribune, this gentleman and their outlets, they got the word across the nation. We are a product of quick, hey, here's a title, here's this, this says it's okay, this channel says it's okay, and that's the way that we live now in the world.
History repeats itself.
Great, a classic example of how a president got elected through media. And why ivermectin has not made it big time is because the media is suppressing the story. And who are they in bed with? Big Pharma. Big Pharma donates to over 250 of our representatives, congressmen and women, and senators who are running every election cycle. Mitch McConnell has made $1.332 million off Big Pharma donations, okay? And over 250, you can see who donated to their election cycle, and it's, you just look at the inner circle. That's all working together.
So going back to less depressive things, share the website.
Okay. How do we find out, like in a nutshell?
Share your website,
and
because that's where you're going to find all the information about the preventive or prophylactic ivermectin.
Well, I'm coming on next Thursday for an hour.
Absolutely.
Again. No, every Thursday, Tom and me. So, and we'll pay you for this hour too.
Yeah,
please go to Urgent Care. Just think Urgent Care, FloridaKeys.com. Urgent Care, FloridaKeys.com.
Okay.
And then if you go on to that, you'll see there's a highlighted yellow sentence that talks about therapeutic treatment for COVID. All right. And if you go there, there is an entire listing of information, organization, site to go to, reading materials to become educated.
Correct.
To become educated
and that's what we
about
want.
the process. And what I've done with that program and what we're all doing is I put it out there so that people can make a choice as to whether they want to go on prophylaxis. I take it every 2 weeks. My wife, 40 friends, none of us have had COVID. I take it every 2 weeks based upon my body weight. So what I've also done, because the pharmacies have been a bit reluctant, they get shortages, they're treating acute cases and say we're not going to treat people prophylactically. In some cases, they're coming around. I'm a dispensing pharmacy, meaning AUC is a dispensing pharmacy. We haven't used it, okay, because of other issues, but I said, you know what, I'm not going to allow people to not be treated. So I now have a direct relationship with Edenbridge Pharmaceuticals in New Jersey. They make ivermectin. The head of the company and I have been speaking. He says, we have no shortage. We can supply the world. There's many companies out there. And again, we're talking about the truth. I'm telling you, it's a Yiddish word. It's a Yiddish word called emes, okay, not emesis, but emes is the truth in Yiddish. It means the truth. I'm giving you the emes. There is no shortage. Pharmacies can get it, okay? And what I've done with our program is it's not through insurance. If you come in, it's $175 to have the visit, and we're going to give you $75 worth of pills. We're going to give you 15 pills because I want you to get started with day 1 and day 3. And then you have 2 weeks to have the prescription for 5 refills filled. The pharmacies have said, just don't come in here asking for 60 or 50 pills, okay? Come in with day 1, that's 15 pills. Usually, if we need to give a few more, we will. And then once a month, they go and they get their dose based upon body weight. That gets them through the next month, goes out 6 months, so that Tom and I will come back and say, hey, here's our data. Here's what's happened to everybody that we put on prophylactic ivermectin.
So do they take pills every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks, I take
for 6 months.
Well, that's that's the setup. The initial setup is going to be for 6 months. Okay, I'm on 6 months right now, and I'm no antibodies, and I feel great, and many of my friends also. So the bottom line is, if you make that choice that you want to be treated prophylactically because for whatever reason you can't get a vaccine, you're allergic to a vaccine, you don't want it, it doesn't matter. It's your choice, all right?
Now, does that help you not spread as well? Because I guess if you don't have it, you can't spread it.
If you don't have it, you can't spread it. So, again, the data, remember what I said about vaccinations. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. The premise is get everybody vaccinated so that they either won't get that current variety, the wild variety, the original. Or if you do get it, it's only going to be a mild case, ergo you don't wind up in a hospital. That's where they're dying. You're going out 7-8 days. You're massively overweight or hypertensive with diabetes, heart disease, renal disease. You are a setup for a faulty immune system, and you will have a high likelihood of going on a ventilator and then dying. Okay, so what we're saying is
that's the footprint of most of these people who've died.
Right. Most of them have comorbidities.
Or something.
Right, Tom? Most of them have comorbidities.
The most significant comorbidity that keeps coming out in the literature is obesity. And again, it's not something that they want to discuss for whatever reason. And we all fight it. I mean, we live in the States. We understand what's available, and we have sedentary lifestyles, right? But when you look at a BMI of greater than 35, there is a huge increased risk of mortality. The other one seems to be hypertension, not so much diabetes, which is very interesting because of the inflammatory, and that's your cardiology background right there. But there's a general inflammatory response with high blood pressure on the inside of your blood vessels, and that seems to cause a hyper response. Going back to the vaccines, again, the word people hate hearing, we don't know, okay? Ideally, people who get vaccinated have antibodies for 3 months, and that reduces the spread of COVID, or when people get, and that's not true because you could still get COVID with the vaccine, people forget that. But that's the concept of it. And then that's when people talk about herd immunity, it's only in the context of vaccines. It's not in the context of how many people get exposed to COVID. People misinterpret that. The best case scenario is that nothing adverse happens and that people realize that COVID's here to stay and that we have other modalities of treatment in addition to vaccines. And vaccines may play a role for travel because, as we've already discussed, the COVID that's in Asia, the COVID that's in Europe is different than the COVID that's here. So
if you carried a bunch of ivermectin in your pocket,
you can
like I do, I have a black suitcase with a box in it in case something goes wrong.
And then worst case scenario, and there's currently 4 animal studies, 152 animals, who have a hyper response to a variant or mutation of other coronaviruses. Now, luckily we haven't seen that in people yet, knock on wood, but that is the scary part. So we have this spectrum of what could happen with the vaccines, and that's why it's important to have options and alternatives.
So let me just add on to that as well, because what Tom said is, you can get COVID even if you've had the vaccination. Well, guess what? I just brought a little piece of paper because I'm getting ready for my podcast on Friday night. Right now, variant of concern. A variant for which there is evidence of an increase in transmissibility, more severe disease, increased hospitalizations and deaths, significant reduction to neutralization by antibodies generated during a previous infection or a vaccination, meaning you've been vaccinated, meaning that you've had COVID. This is straight from the guidelines as to what's concerning us. This is a variant of concern. There are now the B117, which is a Great Britain variant, which affects our ability to be protected by our own antibodies or by artificial antibodies, increased transmission rate. I'm not going to go through the whole list. But then we've got the P.1 Brazilian. It doesn't care if you had COVID 2 weeks ago. If you get this one, it's highly likely. You got a 65% increased chance that you're going to die. This is in Brazil now. This wiped out the city of Manaus. They had already gone through a very high rate of COVID transmission and gotten through COVID. That city got wiped out by this variant.
You saw that on the news, right?
Manaus?
Manaus, Brazil. This Brazilian variety is already here in the United States. It's scary.
Has ivermectin met that thing yet?
I don't see any studies on it yet. It was a small town, like 7,500 people. 75% of the people got this, and the graves are unending. It looks like something. When you look at the pictures on the reports coming from all medias.
Manaus.
Okay,
huh?
So what he's emphasizing is that the vaccine may not be protective, and therefore he's encouraging people to consider prophylaxis, correct?
Exactly, right. And thanks for filling in the gap. That's why we've done the ivermectin prophylactic protocol, because right now this virus is outstripping, to a certain degree, the current vaccine, which was for the original COVID. These mutations and these variants now are making the current vaccines less efficacious in South America and also in South Africa, Brazil, Great Britain. The vaccine that's originally been that is still on the market for the original wild type COVID, it's not working well against these. How many more mutations would it take before they may not work at all? Are you going to take a vaccine and you've got a 1 in 10 chance that it's going to work against a mutant variant? I mean, this is what we want people to think about. This is all we're talking to people. You need to know the truth of what's going on out there. Under-reporting, not being transparent, the words that are coming out, even on liberal stations now. The heads of major organizations they're reporting it. This isn't Bruce Boros making this stuff up, okay? It's out there. They're saying all of the vaccination that we've done to this point may become moot in a couple more mutations of the existing strain. That virus doesn't want to die. It's just outpacing the ability to mass inoculate and then shut it down. And unless we get way ahead of it that way, it's going to be it's going to be booster after booster after booster of foreign material, of coronavirus material that may well significantly alter our immune system, our innate immune system. And to your particular question, is what happens when that RNA from the vaccine, even though it's only snippets of the COVID, okay, to stimulate an artificial reaction, an artificial antibody production, what is going to happen to that particular genetic material of the RNA? There is evidence that there is a thing called reverse transcriptase. It will take the RNA, which is basically, it is a slave.
Potentially can.
Potentially. I said may.
Everything's may. That's
May.
why I have a whole bunch of bags of may here.
And you may eat them. You may
eat them, and you may feel better.
The point,
and you might not.
I just want what Tom and I are saying, and I'm glad that he throws these in,
right.
Okay? Because I'm very, very fervent about this thing. Passionate. Personal experiences, walking the walk, not just talk and talk. We are trying to chase something that we may never get ahead of. We may never get ahead of it. And reverse transcriptase then could take messenger RNA, which the DNA, the brains of our nucleus, the computer of our nucleus, tells that RNA, go out and make proteins. We all need proteins made for different functionings of our body.
Right.
That coronavirus RNA could potentially be reverted back or changed back into DNA and then become the computer of that cell, saying, go out and make much, much, much more COVID messenger RNA to go out and infect other cells. And if that does happen, we could alter our own immune system permanently, suppress it, because we've been pumping up an artificial antibody reaction to the new variants as they occur. Little complex. It's out there. Read about immune escape. Everybody write this down. Immune escape and immune enhancement. If you really want to get the skinny on vaccinations, you got to understand potential problems. So
that's why I don't take them.
Get educated.
That's why I will not. I don't want to take anything. I don't want to take any medication.
I would take ivermectin.
I
do.
I take it. I don't take it prophylactically. But I was interested in getting involved in that.
The program's there. All you got to do, again,
Does the insurance cover it?
I'm not taking insurance for this because it's not approved. It's not even a medication that's approved, unless you got pinworms, okay? So the bottom line is...
Maybe we can get some pinworms. Where do you get pinworms?
Just go be a dog out and, never mind. So let me just get back to
facts.
There
was a lady who was
we got to wrap it up. The point is that I have put this up on our site. We have all collaborated. We put our brains together, and just months and months and months of saying, here is data, here is what the recommendations are for anybody over the age of 18 who are not contraindicated, and there's very few but specific contraindications. Here are sites to go to, become educated, and I'm encouraging all doctors, all urgent care, all healthcare providers, take my effort, free. It's for you. It's for Dr. John. It's for Dr. Smith. It's for Dr. Fauci. Take my information and use it. There's no copyright. This whole thing is get it out there and make your own decision. Now, if a person wants it, why is it $175? Because I'm giving them $75 of pills. So the visit actually becomes our time, our effort, making the prescription, blah, 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 blah. And so it's actually a $100 visit for this program, and my normal charge for a visit is $150 if you come to urgent care. I have cut down the visit by 33%. Nobody's going to come and point their fingers, oh, you're making a fortune off of ivermectin. No, the pill price is the cost plus the handling, and the visit is the visit reduced by 33 1/3%. So people, if they want to, can be treated and have some real peace of mind. 86% efficacious against so far all the variants, etc. There's been no reports of it not working on other variants. I don't know how many studies have been done. And also, if you do get COVID and you've been on the prophylactic program, it's a mild case. That's exactly what they have said about vaccines. Prevent it or keep it to mild, treat early or prophylactically, and don't wind up in the hospital 7 or 8 days later because somebody stuck their hand through your car window and said, we'll get back with you. Oh, gee, Dr. Lou, you are COVID positive. Then what do? You're sitting there at home. You had the test. Now I'm COVID positive. What do I do? Am I gonna be the guy who gets really sick? And
you never know until it happens.
And there are very, very healthy people. We've taken care of them. And one particular Adonis guy in our office got sick. He had some infiltrates. I said, please take the ivermectin. He said, no, I'll be fine. I'll take the vitamins. Well, he didn't. He wasn't fine. He got incredibly sick, unfortunately. Great guy. He's well now, but he was out of work for a month. And he was really sick. And he should have taken the ivermectin. End of case. End of my story. Urgent Care, FloridaKeys.com. Just go on there. You'll work right to the ivermectin prophylactic protocol.
Thank you.
And again, I want to reiterate the fact that, I'm sorry, I forgot to silence my phone. Oh, well. I wanted to
It's Dr. Fauci.
Always calling you now.
I want to reiterate that, as Dr. Lou expressed, you can make your own decisions about whether you want to just treat or prophylactic. I think Bruce is very passionate. You have put a lot of effort into this, and there's a lot of soundness to it. And we disagree about the vaccine. We talked about that, but yet there's enough concern. Here's the question asked. Have I taken the vaccine? No. Am I going to? No. But that's a personal choice. It doesn't mean that I'm right. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. It's just a personal choice. And that's what I want people to do is instead of creating politics out of their decisions, instead of allowing the idea to have people, let people have their own ideas.
Right. And please go to flccc.net. You'll see it on, if you go and you read the materials, there's 6 sites that I'm referencing for people to go and hear the story. And like Tom said, I'm not getting vaccinated. I'm taking the prophylaxis until something out there is better, is safer, potentially safer, etc. I feel very good. I have no antibodies. 1 year of being in and out of the worst April and May, etc. All 3 centers where it was running rampant. And I was there, and sometimes I had a 95 on, and sometimes I had a regular surgical mask, and thank God. Okay, in the last 6 months, I've been perfectly fine on prophylactic therapy.
So you believe in the mask, too?
I believe that there's a place, it's flip-flop. Is it 2 masks? Is it 1? Is it single-ply, 3-ply? I think that there is an element of truth, perhaps on both sides. And now we're going from 6 feet down to 3 feet. it's like, do you understand what Tom and I go through?
All you have to do,
Yeah.
all you have to do is go outside and go to a restaurant and go to a public event, and everybody's wearing their mask with their nose exposed. Everybody's wearing the buffs, which makes things worse. So we've already proven that masks outside are worthless. Buffs are the coverings, the cloth coverings.
And single
they
cover.
actually aerosolize your secretion, so you actually spread things further.
Oh, nice.
It's already been proven, but it's socially acceptable. So that's why we wear them.
Yeah.
It's because I won't get
Shamed.
bombarded or shamed. But the reality is that masks are worthless outside. With that said, I've seen less flu, less pneumonia this year than every year.
We've had no flu.
Yeah, little, and I test for it. People
Where
say,
does that
people
go?
aren't testing.
Where did it go?
No, people say they're not testing. I've tested. I've tested in the ER. We test, and
So you're
in
not
the urgent
finding
care
it
too.
either. So
So
is it
so
because
masks?
COVID's
No, I
taken
think
over, or?
hand washing. I think the plexiglass. And I think masks in a hospital setting do work, and that's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. If
So-
you're in a hospital and you're dealing with potential aerosolization of
Exactly.
sneezes of people that are sick and coughing, you better damn well mask
So I
up.
was totally opposed to masks in April of last year, and now I realize that this is going to be a part of my practice because it keeps the patient safe. It keeps, and I think there's a big role in that. So to suggest...
What about breathing your own carbon dioxide?
That's a myth.
Doesn't that hurt your immune system or not?
I don't think it's very accurate.
Well, there is a recirculation
There's a
of potential
recirculation, but-
pathogens that may set you up for a low-grade pharyngitis, a sore throat, or a sinusitis or something like that.
If you're healthy, your body will handle that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And change your mask.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can't
don't
wear
wear
the same
it for
mask
3
for
months.
3 days. 3 days. Even 3 days.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Yeah,
you need to change your mask.
So I have this little thing called Immunigold, which is
Cool.
which is a product that was used by a
You've shown
doctor.
this to me before, yeah.
Yeah, this is for there's a number of different things. This is called mygoldenhealth.com. But this helps. This has shown again to enhance immune systems and help. I use it myself. A doctor that I know was a emergency room doctor who she would take 2 of those before going to work every day. And
I'm not going to take it because I thought it was potato chips. I would eat potato chips. No, you're right, Dr. Lou. I'm not. Listen, the bottom line is
this is another option.
everybody in the world, unless you're allergic to vitamin D, needs to be on vitamin D 4,000 to 5,000 units a day. You need to take 500 to 1,000 of vitamin C, and you need to take 40 milligrams, 50 milligrams of zinc every day. These are the things that are shown to boost your immune system unequivocally.
And that's what the ingredients are. They're vitamin C, they're algae, they're seaweed, they're going to have magnesium, they're going to have zinc.
This is the immune one.
Exactly.
That's for inflammation.
Right.
This one helps you with your eyes, and this one helps you with weight loss.
However
Which one has Viagra in it?
That's coming out.
However you want to receive...
I'm trying to straighten it out.
However you want to get vitamin resolution, you get it. I mean, if that works, great. If you want to just take the 3 components separately, great. I mean, I also use a different product.
So do you guys take vitamin C every day too?
I do, but through a different means.
I take C, D, zinc every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
1 pill a day?
I take 50 milligrams of zinc, I take 4,000 units of vitamin D, and I take 500 of C. Okay, and I get some sunshine. You got to get some sunshine. Does help a little bit, but not as much as a supplement.
Yeah, I take a different supplement, which is more of a powder drink, and it has all those and a little bit more. But yeah.
That's why he looks so much better.
Yeah, that's
right.
You guys.
Right.
Plus 16 years. He's got 16 years younger than me.
That helps a lot.
There you go. Well,
I can't thank you enough.
Thank
for
you
the
very
time.
I got to
much.
thank you. I'll be sharing these. This is going out to a number of places. I mean, some of them will get more hits than others. Don't look at one because it's going out to Twitch and a whole bunch of these at the same time because we're fanning it out. And I'll be putting it in my podcast series.
Well, thank you for supporting
I wanna
your
thank
local
you
docs.
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And FLCCC.net. Please, they've done beautiful videos, incredible stories. They are around the world trying to help people get through the pandemic. Please make a small donation. It goes for the right cause, and I'm very close with them through a variety of things. I'm a member in that they mention my name and the advanced urgent care as people that utilize and support the philosophy. But I'm not part of that incredible group of people who are there doing the research, reading all the stuff that's coming in, and constantly updating the guidelines. They're a very valuable organization. And you know why they're valuable? Because just like I heard a statement years ago, a couple years ago, a Taiwanese general, okay, he said, when I want to know what the Chinese Republic or the Chinese Republic, whatever the CCP is really concerned about, I look at what they censor. So if I go to what they're censoring, that's what they don't want to get out. Mm-hmm. Okay, is that a perfect ending correlate?
Sure it is.
Ivermectin's being censored. I'm being censored as a doctor, frontline doctor, and research people. They're needed. They're making decisions, and they haven't treated a patient. I'm on the front lines. Tom's on the front lines. Our people are on the front lines, and we're seeing the benefits. So that which is being suppressed needs more evaluation.
Yeah, I'm your advocate. Believe me.
Thank you.
Thank you, good.
Thank you, guys. All right. Thank you.